mother suckers, mother lovers. Hope everybody's well. Welcome to part two of my birthday week of experiences. I thought I'd share some insights on business this time. You see my cat in the background having a bit of a scratch, having a bit of a play. I wanted to talk about business related stuff. Now, a few things that I had to learn about business. I had to learn the hard way, which is really fun because you lose money, you lose time, and probably sleep, and years of your life you lose. So I wanted to impart all the information that I've learned, or a big portion of it, in the 31 years that I have been alive. So I want to start the basic stuff that I learned from when I was young. I wanted to sell shit and make money because I had no money. My brother, he's 4 years my senior. He didn't have any real drive to make money. Like, he busked for cash, worked at cafes a couple of days a week. He wasn't really the entrepreneurial type, even though busking is kind of entrepreneurial, you could say. But it was more like he had a job, and that was in the streets, the mean streets of Marrickville and Newtown. And I definitely took a more entrepreneurial route. So when I was young, I partook, allegedly, or may have partaken, in selling of illicit substances, mostly the herbal kind. Alongside, I tried selling porn mags. My dad had a stash of like porn mags, and there was some DVDs floating around at some stage. And I tried my best to sell them like $5 a magazine or something ridiculous. You know, these like hardcore fucking dicks everywhere magazines. From, I think, when I was like 14. And then selling drugs and shit. Oh, herbal supplements. From when I was like 15, 16. Bought on the low, sold on the high. And that continued for a meaningful amount of time. In that time I was looking after my grandparents. In that time I was just trying to make money the way I knew how. I didn't really understand working for somebody. I did that. I was kind of like, look, if I can make the most from the least, that's what I'll do. My mum taught me how to live off, minimal money, because she scrimped, prioritized her money for, fun substances alongside trying to look after me and my brother. And I learned how to be more resourceful. And so from that came a pretty fun journey. Not fun, I don't know what you call it, but pretty interesting journey of making cash from nothing. Buying low, selling high, all that sort of stuff. I really had no services to offer the world. I wasn't really of value. Could wash dishes. I did like an apprenticeship for a bit. I fucking hated it. And that's kind of where it all took off, because I was like, how the fuck do I make more money? Because like the money that I was making, I was like, this is shit. At one stage I thought $1,000 a week was a lot of money. And then I'm like, oh wow. Current day and age, 10 years later, it's nothing. Grand a week is like, fuck. Like, I always would think 10 years into the future, and I'm like, well, fuck, if I'm only saving, $500 a week, let's say max, and that's scrimping and like eating rice and tuna, I can only, save 25 grand a year, times that by 10 years, that's 250 grand. And I'm like, that's not enough money to do the things that I want to do, to live the life that I want to live, and to really like experience life to the fullest, I thought. So that trend of doing the most with the least really has kind of followed me throughout my whole entire life, and has followed me into this gym. So I was training people out of my grandma's garage for like free for the first 6 months, just to get experience. Again, mind you, I was qualified 5 years prior, but I hadn't had any experience in the industry for like 4 years as I was doing my psychology degree. And so I was training people for free in the garage. I was really just trying to upskill and become a better personal trainer. And just through repetitions and pushing myself, I became that. I always thought, hey, if I start my own business, I'll have nothing to start, but all the profit will be mine. And so when I looked at like franchising models, all that, it never inspired me, never got me going, because I'm like, I'm still working for somebody. I haven't truly built something. But, you know, you see Riz Fitness behind you. It's a studio that I've built completely off my own back and through my own efforts. And yeah, it's a really rewarding experience, but I had nothing to start. So what happened was trained people in the gym at my nan's, moved into a personal training, moved into a gym that had, you know, you paid no rent. Shout out Fitness Republic. Paid no rent for their services, and you could just train whoever, whenever you wanted, as long as they were a member of the gym. Then I moved to a big box gym, BodyFit. I thought that that's where you needed to be to make money. I thought like big box gyms would look after you more. You could make more cash. In a way, it was sort of true because I made most of my money there, but I didn't really have any understanding of like, you know, like business, and like I was slowly learning. And so I did all this still living at my grandma's house, so my expenses were like super low, which meant I could like live a decent lifestyle and like afford shit, and then you know, keep growing my business, keep living. That was my biggest thing. I never wanted to sacrifice. I always, if I wanted to go out for dinner, I wanted to be able to go out for dinner and that sort of stuff. And so I've been able to do that. And then from BodyFit, we had lockdowns in Sydney. And then so from the lockdowns, what happened was I was the only operator in town. And I built my business because I knew how to run Facebook ads, and no other gym in the area was running Facebook ads because they'd all closed down. They didn't know what to do. And then they finally started to kick in eventually. But because I was the only one-on-one personal trainer offering this, I cleaned up. Should have charged more money, to be fair, as well. You live and learn. And then from there, I had like 50, I think about 55 clients I want to say at my peak. And then that took off crazily. And so I had enough income. I think I was maybe making like $3,000 a week at my peak. 3.5, maybe. Yeah, maybe like $3.5 a week or something like that. I think it was maybe 4. No, about 3.5. And so that's like fucking good earnings as far as I'm concerned. Because I mean, I was paying for a little bit of rent. I was living with my ex at the time. We were splitting bills, and then I was working pretty much from like sun up to sundown. Packing down the gym equipment, come home, have a nap, go back out for PM sessions, make sales, make calls, all that sort of jazz. And so I've just kind of slotted in at the right times because I had the know-how and took the opportunity by both hands. A lot of people stopped advertising when lockdowns happened. I was like, fuck, I know everyone's going to stop advertising because everyone's wigging the fuck out. They want to conserve. I'm like, no, this is a huge opportunity. And so I was closing like 50% of clients that were coming my way. They're like, hey, I want PT. I'm like, done. Hey, I want PT, done. So I was fucking nailing it. And so that's how I was able to grow. And then I had, I think maybe like 20 grand locked up in Bitcoin. I think I like tripled my cash because I invested at the right time. Pulled out because I knew that it was temporary, and I knew the money that I made was like peak. You know, I was like, I'm not going to make much more money than this. And pulled out at the right time and then put that money into the gym. So like that was an extra like 10 grand. So that was like my 3 months deposit for the gym that you see before you. Like it was like a 140 square meters, 2-level facility. That gave me the bond. And then I had some extra money lying around. So I bought like equipment. And then week on week, as I'm making like $3,000, $2,000, I'm like, fuck, this is sick. So just get pouring like every week or two, I buy a new piece of equipment, And so I literally was building the gym as we were going on. And it was really exciting. It was really fun. I loved every minute of it in terms of like the ups, the downs. And it was super rewarding. And so built that out. That was really cool. And now we're at a place where like, again, I'm trying to leverage and make the gym more profitable because I understand now that like this costs money. And so I was only charging the same rates that I was when I had zero outgoings. I was thinking about like sort of looking after my clients as opposed to looking after the business. Because if you start having to pay another let's say, $50,000 of costs and you haven't accounted for that in your business, you're going to go broke. And so let's say we're spending, it was more than $50,000 a year in expenses, but let's say like that's kind of what we were spending. That was what I had. So then using what I had, I lived in the gym for like 4 months, 5 months, leveraged that opportunity to then, reinvest that money into ads And then I wasn't paying any tax at the time. So I'm like, okay, I can pocket all this, live a decent lifestyle, and then keep investing for the future until I can pay off my sort of tax debt, all that sort of jazz. So that was really good. That was a really solid period of time where I was able to keep kicking ass without having to sacrifice everything in my life. And that's kind of where it's all gone and all come from. Because I was like, okay, like what are some of the things that I can sacrifice? What are the things I don't want to sacrifice? And how can I keep growing the business? And that was like purely the motivation. And so in that way, I've kind of made the most with the least. For some people, they need about 100 grand to start a gym, 150 grand to start a gym. I did not. I just moved in, was like, okay, well, as long as I train my clients here and kind of keep growing a little bit, I should be okay. Because if I can afford, a grand a week or a bit more, let's say in outgoings, if I can absorb that, maybe I can earn enough money to then, build my capacity. So then I technically have negated that 1 grand. So then we're back to square one again. And that's kind of been the game. It's like, boom, boom, expenses, you catch up. Expenses, you catch up. And now we're at a spot where it's like, should be like baseline profit. And the business should be able to go like that in terms of profitability, which is fucking pretty cool to be able to do. And say and talk about. And so I kind of wanted to impart this podcast and this information on you because it's so crucial that you just do what you can with what you have. And I know I've gone like a roundabout way of saying this, but like when I was young, I had no opportunities. I made them for myself, and yeah, probably not the right ones to do. Don't recommend it. But I was like, okay, here's a little opportunity, and just kept grabbing at what I could. When you're raised in the areas that I was raised in, around the people that I was raised around, there's not a whole lot of entrepreneurial thinking. It is week by week, struggling. And that always put me in a state of panic. Like week on week, that's where we're fucking living. Like that's ridiculous. That seems fucking crazy to me and uncomfortable. And so now it's like, now I'm, I leverage myself and I trusted in the fact that I'd earn enough to not have to pay, to be able to pay off my tax debts and whatever the fuck else I'm doing, right? And so that has been like this. It's all been this nice sort of like upward trajectory, you could say, which is really beneficial. Really beneficial. Because if I didn't trust myself and start low and go, okay, if I was like worried about paying taxes, I never would have fucking moved in here. I wouldn't have had enough money. I'm like, tax man can wait. Every other cunt can wait. This success is on the doorstep now. The next year or two, if I don't get at it, I won't get this opportunity again. Or I won't have the energy to fucking do it again. Because it takes a lot of fucking energy. I'm here 16 hours a day more. I wake up at 4. I finish up at 8:30. Big fucking day. And then, so it's like, it's being armed with that knowledge and that understanding that you've got limited opportunities, limited shots to fucking shoot for the stars. And sometimes you've got to sacrifice things to get there, i.e. paying tax, i.e. all that fucking sort of jazz. Hey, baby. So I know this is a really roundabout way of saying things, but like, I'm just going to impart to you what I've learned. And those are the things that I've learned in a nutshell. Is do the most with the least. Try your best to live a lifestyle so you can say you've lived. Because a lot of people are really happy to scrimp pennies together. And like, I'm like, ugh. If I had to scrimp pennies for 10 years, fuck off. I want to go to nice restaurants. I want to be able to take a girl out on a date. I want to be able to do these things without having to be like, oh, well, let me just check. It's like, nah, I want that shit on disposal, And yeah, probably arrogant, probably a dumb way to live life. But like, year on year, I've doubled my business. Maybe one day I won't double the biz, but so far, so good. And so if I keep having faith in the fact that my level of output, my level of chasing greatness, my level of backing myself is huge. So I'm going to continuously try to keep doing things that way. But I just wanted to make this podcast as I'm 31 in the next 2 days. And I thought it's a really important thing for everybody to understand how to make cash, how to start with a little bit of money, building something, leveling out, building something. It goes in stages. It's never going to be like this. It's this. You have a breakdown, you go here, then you have a breakthrough and you go here. So that's my experience. hope you guys have something to learn from it. And I'm looking forward to bringing more podcasts like this to you guys every week on the High Performance Man. We make 3 of these a week, and they're only getting better and better as I become less and less of a retard. So peace, love, happiness, this, that, and the other. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. Happy end of podcast. Bye.